Everybody for joining today. We're really excited to go through some of the kind of basics recap of ADP and just kind of some of the functionality. Give you a little bit extra tools or more tools for your tool belt to get you through the ADP day with all of your team. So this is kind of what we're going to go through today. Welcome, welcome. Thank you guys for joining. We're going to take a look at the home page itself on ADP. We're going to go through some new hire activities. So, hey, I have a new hire starting on Monday. What do I do? We'll go through that step by step. My team dashboard. So some of you may have stumbled across this when you're clicking around at ADP, but we'll officially go through it, show you some of the cool features that it offers. Time off requests and approvals. It'll just be kind of a general reminder, and I'll give you a couple more neat features to check in right there. Our payroll reminder, I always like to throw this in anytime we can talk about training when we have everybody together because payroll is such an important piece to what we do. And then we'll open it for any questions. So I don't anticipate this taking the full 60 minutes, but we'll go as long as we need to. And you could stop along the way and ask questions, or we could save them to the end. If you don't want to share with the class, no worries. You can always connect with me afterwards and we'll get it figured out. Sound good? These are the house rules. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about, the ADP homepage review. So this is what your homepage looks like when you log in. This is what everybody should see. Just want to give you kind of a quick rundown. So you're going to see a lot of COVID talk. Usually the top left is where we have our safety toolbox talks, but since COVID happened, this is kind of like the landing spot for a lot of COVID information for everybody on the team. Kind of keeps it front of mind, so literally when employees log in, it hits you in the face. The other important thing that I wanted to kind of reinforce for everybody, as a manager, you have kind of extra access to certain things on ADP. So the safety investigation documents, those are all manager forms that you can see. So not every employee has access to that, but you as a manager do. And what's really nice, these forms are fillable PDFs, so you can click them, open them, and then start typing away, which is fantastic. The other things on the ADP homepage right on this screen here, our top right is where I have all the open positions. So feel free if you have any referrals or would like to talk up any internal moves, all the open positions will always hang out there. I try to update them at least once a week unless we have something kind of pop up during the week, then I'll try to throw it on there. But the employee referral reminder is also on there, so all employees will be able to see that. The other nice thing that's on the ADP homepage here in the trending section, we have the HR contact list. So at some point, if somebody doesn't know something and they have a question, they can reach out to one of us, and I promise we'll get it figured out for them. So if you keep scrolling down the ADP page here, the next thing that you're going to see is my time off, or really, it's my time is the first one. Hourly employees will see a few boxes there. They'll be able to clock in, clock out, meal out, and then view their time card. Salary employees, this is kind of what it looks like. You just get to look at my time card. You don't have anything fancy. Underneath that is my time off, and this is just a copy of like what mine looks like. Yours actually has earned time, floating holiday, stuff that makes sense for you. The bulletin board section on the ADP homepage is kind of where we like to put, what's going on in the neighborhood. So think of this as like your virtual bulletin board for your entire team. So if there's anything that you'd like to put on there, if there's anything at all, you can always let me know when we can get it loaded on the ADP page for you. So we can kind of customize it so it works for you guys. All right, so we continue scrolling down the ADP homepage. So employees are only going to see the employee forms on the Take Me To. So this is kind of like your frequently asked forms section. It has a copy of the handbook, the driver handbook, the work number. Again, that human resources contact list, always there. The nice thing, so if you keep scrolling down, the manager forms kind of flow right underneath that. So we'll talk about new hire stuff in just a second, but this is kind of where everything lives. We like to put the most current information on the ADP homepage, so you're not hunting around looking for, the new hire packet or, the employee handbook. The most current files are always going to be on the ADP homepage for you. So always a good practice just to always go back to the homepage, kind of check everything out, make sure you have all the documents that you need. So speaking of manager forms and new hire stuff, we'll jump into our next section. All right. So I have a new hire starting on Monday. What do I do? Where do I go? What's going on? I spent all this time, interviewing people and going back and forth on emails with me. Thank you, PS. And now we actually have someone starting. So you as a manager, you play a super important role in this. You're going to be able to kind of usher that first person in, get them set up with their new hire paperwork, which is super important because that kind of kickstarts the whole day. So the new hire paperwork. So one thing that I wanted to introduce to everybody on the team here. Oh, if it loads, hold please. Oh, there it is. Okay, so this is a new form that I'm going to actually put on is basically like the cover letter to your new hire packet on the ADP homepage. So this is really going to kind of give you like step-by-step instructions on what you should do once your new hire arrives. So again, please let me know if I haven't already emailed you once that morning to make sure that your new hire started. Please let me know. You could call me, you could text me, you could shoot me an email, carrier pigeon, smoke signals, whatever you need to. Just let me know that they did arrive. And then we could go ahead and start with the new hire paperwork.
It looks like, so, Leah, that they have those are links too. If I just click on that, I can send an email right from your form there.
You got it. If I could figure out how you could like text me right from the form, I'd figure it out. So right now, you could just click the link. So again, it's for myself and Rob. We'll get copies of the new hire paperwork. And this is all on, again, the ADP homepage. These are all the forms are in the new hire packet. So if you have a driver starting, they got a couple extra pieces. But generally speaking, inside your new hire packet, you're going to have the I-9 form. And we'll talk about that again in just a second. A federal W-4. So in the new hire packet form, it's a fillable PDF. So again, you can type away. It's fantastic. The direct deposit form. There's a confidentiality agreement form. Emergency contact, an employee acknowledgement form, a new hire form, an application if they did not complete that during the process with me, and the background and all that good stuff. A driver application, again, if you have a driver, you got a couple extra steps. And then any benefit enrollment or insurance questions, just give Rob a call or have them call Rob. So he's going to be kind of the point of contact for a lot of the new hire pieces here. But just know I need a copy of it so we can get them loaded into ADP and then assigned to a time clock if you guys have a time clock at your branch. So,
hey, Leah, quick question before you go on. So
yes,
if
sir.
we have a new hire that might be driving not the box truck, but any kind of truck, a pickup truck, let's say, is there something we need to do with that?
Yeah, yep. So it's going to be the same thing that you would do previously. So we're not doing anything different. So before the ADP switch, if you had just not actual box truck drivers filling out the driver paperwork, just anybody, then follow the same process.
Okay.
And if you have questions, Rob's your guy.
We have to go through that process still with our current employees who are going to be driving. So we'll figure that out on our end and just have them, the new hires, do the same thing when we have that in place.
Yep.
Okay.
You
So
got
guys,
it.
just make a note that anybody that's going to be driving for any reason in any vehicle for work purposes on work time, we do have to have them go through the MVR background check.
Yep.
It's not the DOT, they don't need a card, nothing like that, but they do have to check out their MVR.
Yep. You got it. And if anybody has questions, like when we're hiring or really when we're screening someone or we're going through that process before they become an API employee officially, you can always reach out if you just have a question or if you're not sure all the steps in the background process, just give me a shout. We can always talk through it. Perfect. Well, thank you, Ben. Thank you. All right. So again, so these are the forms that are in that new hire packet. So please, once you meet with the employee for that morning, there's new day, go through everything here, scan an email or fax a copy over to both myself and to Rob. As soon as we get them loaded into ADP, I'll send a follow-up email as well, just to say, hey, PS, they are loaded into the system. Something that is a little bit different than what we've done previously. So the first time user registration, that process was updated slightly. So instead of you being able to print out the form and say, here, go ahead, you can register an ADP, as an extra level of security, ADP does a verification process. And the way that they do that, once we enter a new hire into ADP, we actually send them a registration code directly to either their cell phone that they've listed or their personal email. If we have a company email for them, that's where it would go. But generally speaking, it's a personal phone number or a personal email address. So when I send the email over saying they're an ADP, I will let you know where the registration code was sent, whether the personal email, personal phone. And then they'll be able to go in and follow the rest of the steps of the first time user registration to get them loaded into ADP. So any questions on anything so far? I know new form, kind of laying out the process. Anything I could clarify? You like it, you don't like it, you won't hurt my feelings, I promise. All right, I'm gonna go with no news is good news, so fantastic. So again, this is going to be loaded on the new hire packet going forward. So if you have questions about anything, just give me a shout. We'll get it figured out together. All right, and then we're going to go right back into our presentation here. All right, so these are, here we go. So we're back to our manager forms on the ADP homepage. So again, all of the new hire forms are going to be loaded right here for you. So you just click to see what you need, print it out accordingly. Something that I just kind of wanted to draw your attention to real quick. I added the I-9 form as a fillable PDF right on the ADP homepage. In the new hire packet, for whatever reason, when I load it, it takes the fillable aspect of it out. So I have no idea how to fix that, so we just added it to the ADP homepage. So all you have to do is click on the icon here, and the entire I-9 document pops up. You can type in right from there. Ta-da! Eventually, at some point, it's going to load. There it is. So this part's nice. So please be aware, have the employee fill out the top section. You're going to be filling out the second section here. And then, of course, our third page shows all of the acceptable documents. So just make sure when you're scanning everything over or emailing it, faxing it, that it's a clear copy. Every once in a while, I'll email somebody back and say, oh my goodness, I can't see anything. So please help. So just take a quick peek at it when you make some copies of the forms that go with the I-9 here.
Why do we have to do this form? What's this form used for?
Oh my goodness, super, super important form here. And you can, hold on, I could probably even scroll back up. Here we go. So it's our employment eligibility verification. So we have to, any employee that we hire here needs to fall into one of the categories here, and we have to have valid documentation. They need to prove who they are, basically, who they say they are. And that's why it's so important to have not only this form complete and accurate, but non-expired documentation. So there's nothing worse than getting a new hire on board that we've been waiting for, and when they hand you their license, it expired 2 months ago. You're like, oh, okay. So, and I know with COVID, it was a little different because a lot of the facilities were closed, and we had to, I waited in line for, I don't even want to tell you how long, to get my stuff updated. But super, super important to have the I-9 complete and non-expired forms. Anything else you want to add to?
Yeah, this is not an HR idea. This is like a legal.
This isn't my form by any stretch, trust me.
The government comes in and audits you. So just understand that, would you like something to be different or whatever it is, what is. So we tell you that.
Yep. And the other important thing to note, so anytime that a form expires, whether, every year we have an updated federal W-4, or you could see these forms randomly expire at certain times, we'll always update with the most current form, so you guys don't have to hunt down the newest form. So just be aware of that. We're always looking. I wish they would all expire, on 12/31 or 1/1, but sometimes they don't. So we're always trying to make sure that we have the most accurate forms for you. All right. Before we jump into the team dashboard, which is our next section, anybody have any questions? Beautiful. See, this is painless. Thank you, guys. Not too bad. All right. So this is something that I'm not sure if everybody has seen before. honestly, I kind of mistakenly found it a few months ago, so I thought I'd share it with the group. So you can actually look at what's called My Team Dashboard inside ADP. So if you go to My Team, Time and Attendance, and Team Dashboard, this is what this looks like. So it's a really nice snapshot of everybody on your team. You can see your things to do, time off request. We'll come back to that in just a second. Shift to review. So this basically is just going to say if you have an employee clocking in earlier than scheduled or something like that. I really don't pay too much attention to that because I can look at my exception report and see it that way. Who's in today? Just a quick snapshot to see who's already clocked in for the day. Total hours this week. So this is really nice because as the week goes on, you're going to be able to see how many hours and if anybody has scheduled time off, that'll live there. Other actions. So you can go right in here, click on individual time card. The individual time card screen pops up for all of your team. Same thing with time card exceptions. So that part is really, really nice, especially if you're looking for a quick snapshot. Like say, you know, before Friday, before you're leaving, you could see, oh, somebody's missing a missed punch from Tuesday. Oh, I got to go in and address that. Or there's pending time off requests. It's going to show right here, just kind of like your snapshot view. Employees with overtime, so again, up to you, just another tracking measurement here. And then time off this week. So this is a really nice snap to see. It just has your team's initials. So as long as you know your team pretty well, you'll be able to distinguish who's who and who has approved or even pending time off in the system. So speaking of time off, so if you click on the things to do up here in the top left of your team dashboard, if you click on the time off requests, this is what pops up for you. So it's fantastic. It literally brings you to the time off request screen if you were going to go to My Team Time Off list of requests. Less clicks gets you in the same spot, which is really nice. If you click back, it brings you right back to your team dashboard. So if you scroll down a little bit on your team dashboard, the other pieces down here, time card status for payroll. So if you had anybody that was not ready for payroll, so if we had a missed punch or some kind of time card exception that needed to be addressed, that would magically appear here. So, you know, green means go and we're good to process payroll. So anytime it's not green or you see a yellow or a red, you know you'll have to address something. The other thing that's here is Team Insights. And this is kind of if you'd like to use it or not. So I clicked on the View All Insights, and that's what the snip is here at the bottom. It's just a bunch of different measurements that you can view for your team. Again, totally up to you, but it is out there. So I thought I'd just bring it up so you can see. Right. Any questions on the My Team dashboard? It's kind of a neat feature. It's like your one-stop shop just to get an overview, which is cool. All right, so the next thing that we'll talk about real quick is time off requests. So if you're in your team dashboard, again, you can click time off requests and it's going to magically shoot you to where you need to go. Or you can go the long way if you're in ADP to My Team time off list of requests, and then pending requests is where anything that you need to address is going to live. So you guys have seen this screen at least once or twice at this point, I would think. So you can see the employee name, the request period, what it is, earned time floating, whatever they're requesting, the date that they were submitted on. So something that's really neat that I wanted to kind of like draw your attention to, again, if you didn't like mistakenly click on it at one point, or if this is brand new for you, you can see where it says check schedule. So on the left side there under the action where it says leave pending, there's a little hyperlink. So if you click that, you're actually going to have a box pop up. And if you have anybody else on your team requesting a day or any of that date range that they requested, it's going to show up for you. So before you click approve or deny, or before you address that time off request at all, you can go here and see if anybody else on your team has already got that time requested. Super nice feature, pretty helpful. The other neat thing that ADP offers is the calendar here. So this calendar, the icon that you see, pops up on the very top of your ADP homepage where it says home, myself, you know where those buttons are. It's right above that. And it looks just like this. So if you click calendar, it's automatically going to default to my calendar. So you're going to see your whole month view calendar. So the one thing, and which is nice because you'd like to see if you have any time off requested, anything in the future, always makes me smile. But what you're going to want to look at is click on My Team. So when My Team comes up, you're going to see a full week snapshot of anybody on your team that has pending or approved time off in the system. So again, another way to look at your team, who's going to be here, who's not going to be here before you approve or really address any of the time off requests that you have. Pretty neat, but again, you can only see yourself. You can see my team. If you click on my peers, you'll be able to see anybody that has the same reports to. So if you and someone else both report to the same manager, you'll be able to see them. So you can't see anybody else outside of, your happy bucket, but those are some options out there. And just a side note, so you can see on the example here, the boxes are green. So that means they've already been approved. If you see orange boxes, they're still pending. So just a little way to differentiate. You'll also be able to see employees' anniversaries on the My Team calendar, which is kind of neat. So you'll be able to see, oh, somebody's been here for 15 years coming around the corner, make a note, send them an email or say hi, hey, congratulations, something like that. Just an extra feature on the calendar. So I always like to throw this in. This was part of the original training that we did when we first introduced the API team to ADP. Just a note about salaried employees. So because odds are they're not going into ADP all that often, because a salaried employee doesn't have to clock in, clock out, anything like that. They're probably going in to look at their check stub or to request time off. So just a gentle reminder, if you have salaried employees that report to you and you know that they're off, just remind them that we need to get their time off requests entered into ADP. Probably a good thing to remind hourly employees as well, but salaried employees, it's definitely important because we need to make sure that we can, allocate the correct hours for them. All right. The last thing that we'll talk about on time off and all this fun stuff, just a quick note. If you have employees that call off, please send an email to the HR team. So there's a couple different reasons that we want to track, employee call off. So we can see, especially if it's a new hire, I definitely would like to know if we're missing something or if there's something, out of whack. So please send us an email if you have any employee that calls off. Please put in that email the employee name. If they notified you, before or after their start date or their start time, or you could always say, hey, when he was leaving yesterday, he said he wasn't going to come in today. Super helpful because if we need to come up with kind of like a timeline when the last time somebody spoke with them, this is kind of like our tracking piece. If you know the reason it's a call off, sometimes an employee will just say, oh, I'm going to take tomorrow off, and that's it. That's fine. But if they say, oh, I'm not feeling well, I'm going to take the next day off, I have to go to the dentist, any information that they give you, fantastic, we can note it here. If they know that they're going to use time or if they're going to take it unpaid, again, super helpful, especially when we're trying to close out payroll. We can always go back and see if an employee said, oh, they were going to enter earned time for this day. We don't see it in there. It's still missing hours. That at least gives us the connection of, oh, they probably meant to enter in some earned time. And then it's also helpful if they did say they know when they'll be back to work. So any information you can give is fantastic because it's just going to help us track, if somebody calls off for, every Friday in summer, then we can kind of see a trend. Or if it's always every Wednesday, they leave early, something like that. Then we'll be able to at least have some documentation if something was to come up down the road. Another important note, if you as the manager are going to be out, please let us know because then we'll be able to either approve your team's time cards, watch out for time off requests for your team, things like that. So super, super helpful, especially as we are trying to close up payroll. We get paid every week. So our time frame to close payroll and get it ready to process is pretty small. So if we don't have a heads up, then we're usually sending emails or trying to follow up. And it's just very helpful if we knew you were going to be out, especially around the time when we're going to start processing payroll. So we can kind of cut down on some of that back and forth time.
So Leah, before you move on, so when we talk
Sir.
about calling off, I think it's important just to point out that we're looking for trends here. You know, it's one thing if you have a guy who really never takes time off and he says, oh shoot, I have an appointment tomorrow, can I have the day off? Yeah, no problem. If you have time, great. If you don't have time and you want to approve that, I don't really want to do that. If people don't have time, then they shouldn't be taking days off, but that's a case-by-case basis. But the reason for sending a note to HR is because we want to start tracking this, right? We have certain people who just consistently are taking days off, and it seems to be Mondays for the most part. And a lot of times that's during football season or some fun time of the year where they just consistently call out on a Monday. So we want to make sure that if there's a trend there, that we want to identify that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Thank you so much, Ben. All right. So one of the last pieces that I always like to kind of almost end on really is our payroll reminder. So you guys are pretty used to seeing this bad boy. Julissa tries to send it out usually on Fridays. Just a reminder for managers to button up the time cards, approve any time off requests that are still hanging out there, work on any missed punches, things like that. So one important thing here is if you're going to be out, please let somebody know. So please let somebody from the HR team know so we can work on your team's requests or any of the exceptions before we're ready to process payroll. So the last two pieces that I just kind of wanted to quickly walk through. Again, you've seen this in the training previously. Addressing time card exceptions, super important to do or else we can't process payroll. Anytime you look at an employee's individual time card and you see a red box, you know, oh, something's wrong, I gotta look at it. So if an employee forgot to clock in, they forgot to clock out, they're missing a punch for something, we will not be able to process payroll until it's addressed. Literally, it stops the train. This is as far as we can go. So please know you can always go in, if it's once a day, once every couple days, Friday before you leave, Monday first thing in the morning while you're having coffee. Please look to see if we have any time card exceptions for your team and address them so we can keep the train moving. The other important thing, while we're talking about employee time cards, you've seen this one as well, approving employee time cards. We always want the employees to approve their time cards, but it's super important that managers approve the time cards as well. Julissa runs a couple different reports, and one of them is a time card approval report. So we don't start processing payroll until the employee time cards have been approved. So this is like the triple check to make sure everything looks good on the time cards at this point. And here's like the who's who of the HR team. Again, I always like to include this so you can always find anybody that you're looking for. One thing that's really nice, if you have a question about anything, if you just know to call HR, somebody in HR, if we don't know the answer, we'll find it for you, I promise. So as long as you can find one of us, we'll get your answer. All right. So, I hope not too bad, right, painless? Does anybody have any questions about anything at all? I'll throw up a kind of a recap to show you all the fun stuff that we talked to pretty quickly. Ooh, maybe Mark's got a question. No question. Maybe.
Not for us, anyways.
Oh, okay, Jason.
Mark's good.
If Mark's good.
Yes, sir. So under my team, there is a spot where it says group time card. What's that for?
So my team, is it in time and attendance?
Yep.
Okay, hold on. Group time card. Fantastic question. I was just gonna cheat and log into ADP real quick and see if I could show you. Like the power of live TV.
And the great part of they're always making updates and things in there and putting new capabilities. And sometimes we're not all attuned to that they've done that, but it works quite well. And so if there is something that's new, we will work with you to make sure that it works for you. And again, our service model is if you call any of us, we're going to help you. So, you know, you do get the emails from Jalissa on a regular basis around getting time cards, because you're a single point of failure for us being able to run a payroll if we don't have that work done. So that's why it's so critical. And this is the one piece in life where we're all interdependent upon getting people to do that. So, and if you're going to be gone, it's fine to be gone, but we need to figure out how that's getting covered. That's another piece. So every payroll is about one or two people who forgot to do something, and that's a lot of noise created by it. So if you can help us out on that, it helps all of us get a smooth payroll. And our number one goal is a smooth payroll every week.
Yep. And truly, just to kind of piggyback off what Dave said, truly, if we're missing one person has one missed punch, it really does stop the train for everybody. We can't click the magic button to process payroll. So there's been more than one instance, and not just at the API team, but everywhere, that one person has stopped the payroll process in the morning. So you don't want to be that person. So
that's another way of saying it. Yeah.
You don't want to be that one. So I was able to go in real quick and let me.
You see the question up there from Josh?
Oh, give me 1 sec. Let me.
I know you're working for the other piece.
Yep. Sorry. Yep.
Look at that. What is this?
Right.
Okay.
So I was able to look at the group time card. So I hid everybody's names so nobody knows who everybody is, but I promise under here are employee names under the blue box. And it looks like it's the date and then the employees. So this is like a snapshot of today and yesterday. So it's an employee name and the time that they were in, the time that they were out, their scheduled time. So if you have schedules inside ADP, that's what the gray box underneath it is, and you can see what time the employee actually clocked in. So just another way to look at an actual time card for the snapshot for your team. It's a little confusing this way, I'll be honest with you, but it is out there. And it looks like you can make edits right on this screen. So, if we'll say Joe Schmo is our first line item here, and he forgot to clock out for the day, you'd be able to click in the out time box right here, and then away you go. So just whenever you're making any edits in the individual time card, or really any edits in ADP, make sure that you click save. Usually if you make any changes in the time card and go to the next person, ADP stops you and says, hey, time out, you have changes that you didn't save yet. Just remember, click save, or else anything that you've been working on just disappears.
I think the group time card shows everybody in the whole company. So I don't know if it lets you actually make any changes on anybody from this screen, because it's just showing you everyone in the company, if they're punched in or where they're out, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, nice. And I bet it depends on your access. I wonder. Really? Yeah, that's probably it. So I have funky access, so I could see probably more than most, we'll say.
I can see everybody. Jason, what do you guys see?
I'll tell you, Rob, I'm in it right now for us, and I can see my direct reports and their direct reports, but I can't see everybody.
Oh, you can't? Okay.
I can't, and I can't make changes right in there.
Right. Okay, so I may be only fancy enough to be able to make changes right in it, so I apologize.
No, you can make changes. You can make changes right in there.
Just kidding. Okay, so definitely be aware, and if you start clicking around,
you can make changes? Oh, yeah, I see.
Yep. Yes, I can.
Huh. There you go. See, I learned something new. Fantastic. Okay, so sorry.
Part on top of that, Basil and I were talking about this. It says manage my list. Can you create your own groups, your own list in here?
Heck yes, you can. So, and it's a little, hold on, let me see if I can pause here to bring up something to make this a little easier. Okay. Sorry, it's loading. I want to make sure it loads the page that I think it is before before I share with the team. Okay, so if you click on that manage my list, so you can see this is the ADP homepage. Shout out to the calendar button all the way up at the top here. So if you click manage my list, you'll be able to add, and this is something that you can, if you want to look at, so Ben, this is probably going to be super helpful for you. because you have your direct reports and then your direct reports. So if you want to look at, just Portsmouth, you'll be able, you could call it just Portsmouth. Include future new hires. Always check this yes, or else your list is just a snapshot of today. So always include future new hires. Super, super helpful tip. It took me longer than I care to admit to realize that. So, and then your field name here, you could go down, and these are all the different things that you can like sort your group by. Probably the easiest thing to do is if you click location is equal to, and then you'll be able to pick out your team's location. So I am going to say, so it pops up with everybody. So I'm going to pick Manchester, and then I'm going to add, because say I want location is equal to, and then I'll go down and we'll say Franklin. When you add a new line, and or always pops up, so make sure you're picking the right box. If you want a list that is just Manchester and Franklin employees, click and. If you want or, you're only going to get one or the other. So keep that in mind. Then when you click done, you'll be able to have this list, whatever you name it, appear for you in your list. Something that's really, really neat. This list is not just for, looking for time off requests. So when you go and actually see what your section that says all employees that you can click, it's like a blue circle, and then your employee list pops up underneath your friends. You can actually now sort it by whatever lists you create. So you only see who you want to see instead of seeing the full list pop up. So it is super helpful. But you got to take a couple minutes to set it up in the beginning, and then it'll work for you the whole time. The other thing is you can filter it and add, you can get really, really fancy and only include active employees if you want. So your terminated people, so if you're looking at the list that you built from 4 years ago, you're going to include future new hires, and if you only want to see active, make sure you put that as one of the field names. Sometimes it's easier to guess and check to see what pops up. Oh, look at Rob go. Amazing. Thank you.
All right, so I assume we can't break anything by doing this, right? If we try and play with this and we find out it's not what we wanted, we're not going to hurt anything. We can delete it afterwards. Can we change it? Can we modify it?
Yep, because you can, so once you can see these are all my private lists that I have. If you click cancel, and then it goes back to like manage my list. You can always click in here and then edit whatever list that you'd like.
Okay.
So it's really neat. Nope, and it's your personal list. So nobody else sees it, just you. And it's just you. So you're correct. If you ever get stumped or if something looks weird and you're in ADP, just give me a call. And you can always call my cell phone or text me, or you can be like, hey, there's a weird error message come up. What is this? And then we could talk it out. So before you click anything, or if something looks wonky, you can always call. So I was just going to go into the questions real quick. Sorry.
The questions are really around time for lunch and how do we log in for the drivers on that.
Yeah. Okay. So so something that's really nice. You'll be able to. So if you have an employee time card that has somebody started at 8:30 and then they clocked out at 5. If you need to add a lunch, go right in and I'll show you. That will be a live demo here for you. And sorry, we will pick on. Let's see. Anybody have an example of somebody that they want me to mess with real quick? Let's see, because I think it was it Josh's question? Josh, you got somebody in mind?
We can test it out on.
Yep.
Josh is muted. You can do, let's do Mark Bellamere.
All right, let's look for Mark. Okay. All right.
And right now you're sharing the PowerPoint.
Yep, I was just waiting until we get, here we go.
Yep.
All right, so and I'm going to zoom in. So you guys only see really what you care to see here. All right. Now, okay, so can you guys see ADP now?
Yes.
Beautiful. All right, so Mark, he started at 6 and then he clocked out at 2:32. So if we want to add in a lunch, the first thing that we're going to do, all the way on the left side here are 3 lines. Click that, and then we add a blank row. So, and I always double check 10-4, 10-4, that's the date that I want to mess with. The first thing that I always do, I drop the time that they clocked out at the very end here. So, and then it automatically defaults to 8 o'clock, but that's fine because we'll mess with it. We can delete that out and then take out the 2:32 clock out time. So right now you should see 6:08 to 2:32, which is truly what he did yesterday. So if we're adding in a lunch, we'll go into our out box. Oops, sorry. And anytime that I'm adding in a lunch, if you have the time that they took a lunch, if not, I do something that is like super clear and obvious, so we know that that's a lunch break. So did he take an hour lunch or a half-hour lunch? Half-hour lunch? Beautiful. So he clocked out, we'll say our out punch is 12 o'clock, our back in punch is 12:30. Always double check your AMs and your PMs, because sometimes ADP automatically likes to assign AMs. So you'll notice instead of an employee working 8 hours, it's like 18.5 hours for a day. So
That's
it should stick out like a sore thumb, but just know, double check your AMs and your PMs. So we're gonna look here. So 6:08, 12 to 12:30, 2:32, he clocked out. And I like to, whenever I do anything inside an employee time card, I always add a note. So this is just more of like my backup, my CYA, in case anything comes up. I always know I have like a track record of what I did. So my note says added a 30-minute lunch. I'm going to say it was Josh. And then the date that I'd made the change. So before I click OK and the note magically appears, you have the option to allow the employee to view the note. So anything that you put in said note box, the employee will see. So just be aware, if you don't check that box, the note only appears for you. Or like if we were to run a report, a time card report with notes, this note would appear. So just be aware, what you're putting there may be seen by the employee if you check the right box. Then I click OK. Voila, my note appears here. And then it's time to save. Always click save. And then it's done. So see, and so he clocked in today, hasn't clocked out yet. So you see your red box. So you know if he forgets to clock out, you're going to have to address it later on. So there's that magic red box. The little red box of doom is what I'm going to call it because it stops the train. Look real quick. Okay, thank you, Rob, for showing Josh how to do the list. Aaron, who was your person yesterday? 8 hours of unpaid time.
Mike is the name.
Beautiful. Oh my goodness.
Oh, it's in a big spin.
All right, and let's look. Okay. Oh, beautiful. Okay. So, hey, thank you for putting a note in. Gold star. Thank you. Thank you. So, unpaid time. So, even though it shows up as 8 hours, it truly is a 0-hour code. So, ADP needs to put like the placeholder of hours. But when we go in process payroll, it's a zero earned hours attached to it. So, just think of this as your placeholder. So, it's different than if you would see, hours actually worked, things like that. But something that is also kind of neat, I'm gonna wait for it to load, sorry. We could play the Jeopardy music, I don't know, do, 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 that's Jeopardy, right?
Do, 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 do,
right?
do, do, do,
So,
do.
nope, it's still not gonna load. Whenever we go through and process payroll, the unpaid code is an unpaid earnings hour code. So just think of it as the placeholder. So he did request 8 hours. 8 hours are in there. It's accounted for hours, but it's a 0 earnings code, for lack of a better explanation. So it truly is unpaid. No dollars are technically associated with it when we process payroll. All right. These are fantastic. I love these questions. Any other questions? Questions, comments, concerns?
Hey, another question relative to missed punches.
Uh-huh.
I had an associate that had a missed punch last week, and trying to put in the punch, it separated the line and wouldn't join that same time frame together, so you couldn't get actual work time. Is there an easier way than just to add a punch to that, or is that the correct way and you just have to kind of work with it?
Okay, so do you, okay, hold on, let me try to, who was the last person we just looked at? Who was that, Ben? Because there was a missing out punch in that.
Yeah, Mark Bellemare.
Mark missed, maybe. Okay. Okay, so you guys can see Mark? Sorry, ADP is being a little slow today. Okay, so were you saying, so like you were trying to add in where the red box is here to add that time in, or were you trying to add a time in addition to a line that was already there? Let me make sure I get it.
Well, what it did is it actually gave you in and start of lunch break, and it was the return punch from lunch in that was missing. So it was in the middle of your punches for the day. So it kind of a little different, because what it did is when I added the punch, it separated the line, but it didn't give you the balance of the hours for the day work.
Okay. Okay, got it. So it was, all right. So we had an in punch for the day, and then we had an in punch back for lunch. Is that right?
No, we had the in and out for lunch. It was the return that would not populate correctly. So it was on the in punch back from lunch that the miss punch happened on.
Okay, so a red box popped up for you in the miss punch box.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, got it. So, and when you went to click in there, it wasn't doing it right for you?
No, it just kind of like broke the line as far as it would give me the separate line for the actual entry of the punch and then the out punch.
Okay. Did
It
you
wouldn't join the
AM
two,
or
and I'm
PM?
like,
So
I don't know if it helps.
the only reason I asked that is because I know when I went to adjust a time card and ADP picked AM for me and it should have been PM, because then it looked like my start time was later than my end time, or it was my end time was later, whatever it was like backwards. So ADP couldn't distinguish the number that I put in because it hadn't happened yet, basically. So that's the only thing I could think of that may have been wonky. But generally speaking, when you have the red box like this, you should just be able to click right in there and then enter the time, and it should be good to go. But if something wonky like that happens again, or if it's not letting you do something, just give me a call and we'll figure it out. Because then I could just like.
Yeah, because I got it to work, so.
Okay, which is fantastic. But don't, if you get frustrated or if it's like, what in the world is going on? Just call me.
Yep.
Sometimes you look at it for so long and I'm just like, I give up. And then I need to walk away. So just let me know and we can figure it out together.
Perfect. Thank you.
Very cool. Every once in a while, ADP gets some wonky stuff going on, and it's super helpful if I know that you're having an issue, because odds are at some point somebody else may have run across that issue. And if not, then I'll know the answer for when it happens again. So I definitely appreciate any call that you guys, send my way for anything. Even if you want to call and say, hey, we're doing great, thanks.
I was looking at this slide here. I've had a chance to go to a lot of the various branches around all of the business units, and this is the only place I've seen so far where we have an intentional way of just thanking customers for their business, and this is in our Manchester location. So I just wanted to say, and in behalf of both Leah and me, thank you for your business, and we're going to do the very best we can do to support you. So we're around. So if there's something we can help you with, we will do it. And so you know how to get us with the information that we'll be sending to you, and I understand that it's been a change for everybody, and we'll continue to, you know, work and support you in any way we can, and part of that is changes associated with growing, and that's what we're doing. So we have to continue to be open to that, and if these systems aren't working for you, we'll figure out how to make them work, because we're what they call for people in change is they call it the neutral zone. We're used to doing our old world. Then you come to this new world, the things change, and then you go, well, wait a second, I'm doing the old world and the new world at the same time, and I'm feeling like this is a lot, and that's called the neutral zone. So people who train for people on change, we're right where we ought to be in the change part. So what we're trying to do is migrate to the future world that allows us to grow. And so I just appreciate your patience and understanding. And again, best way we can keep everybody on track is to communicate, and we just need to continue to do that over and over again. So if there's another topic or something you want to see, we'll do it. And we welcome every opportunity we can to talk with you.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much, David. If anybody has any other questions, we can talk now. If you have questions you don't want to share with the class, you can always reach out to anybody in the HR team. We'll get it squared away for you. But just a reminder, I'll go ahead and send out a recap email, any of the attachments that we talked through this presentation, a copy of the presentation that we're doing right now. We'll also send that out. So if anybody's got anything at all, always feel free to reach out. We'll continue talking.